welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to our life. Summer in Sunset Bird was a special time of year. Usually your sleepy town began to bustle. It was a popular tourist destination with people coming from all over to enjoy the beach, the weather, and the relaxation that came with the cold. There we go, you guys could hear me better. I've got my mic as close as I'm comfortable with it. During the summer, your moms didn't like to let you wander too far outside your neighborhood, so you knew the area pretty well. That included the people. Families came and went from Sunset Bird, but they mostly stayed and did what your mom called putting down roots. They built businesses, they got to know each other, and they definitely said hello to the nice young kids who waved when they passed their stores. Going for a walk around town mostly meant that the familiar, friendly residents waved or asked how your family was, or most often just said hello. I'll probably end up picking different choices. You ended up saying hi to a lot of different people since most of the tourists that came and went every summer were the same ones. You enjoyed learning all about where they were visiting from and hoped to visit those places one day too. But today there was a man sitting on a curb outside of your house. He was sitting with his head in his hands, his whole body slumped over, and you wondered if he was even a real person or a statue that had magically sprung up from the ground overnight. Whoever or whatever he was, you hadn't seen him before. One thing about knowing everyone in Sunset Bird was that people who you didn't recognize really stood out. It was rare for tourists to venture into the residential district, as your mom calls it. So for you, not knowing who a total stranger was set off a lot of red flags. Your mom's talked with you and your big sister Lizzie about this kind of situation before. They mentioned that some people are good to talk to, but other types of people can help you even if you don't know them. Remember that it's okay to run away if you feel uncomfortable. You don't have to worry about being polite then. Those are two very good points. You weren't sure about this man yet. Still, you felt a bit scared knowing he was blocking your way to the front door. You were pretty interested and wanted to know more about what was going on. Whether he was nice or not, you didn't want to be bothered. Me, I don't want to be bothered. You slowed down as you thought about how you would get around this. There was a split second where your eyes met. That wasn't good. He was probably going to say something now that he's seen you standing around here. You were right. His deep voice called out to you, but you didn't say anything. Unfortunately, the man stood up and started to make his way towards you. I guess that's when you run. Not wanting to seem too approachable, you folded your arms and stared. Still unsure about him, but willing to be friendly, you offered the stranger a smile. The man gives a grin of his own back. Do you live around here? What's your name? You looked the man up and down, taking in his tan skin, relaxed appearance. At least his clothes were relaxed. The way he was acting wasn't. He had sharks on his shorts and a stingray tattoo. You wondered if he was obsessed with the ocean or something. While you made your assessment, he looked at you expectantly, waiting for an answer to his question. I would definitely not give out my name to a stranger, so yeah, I live here. Probably also wouldn't say that. That's great. He looked happy to hear it. See, this is so creepy. I talked about this in the first playthrough. So creepy that he instantly is like, $20? He reached into his pocket and pulled out a clean $20 bill. It crinkled in his hand as he held it up to you. Even more confused than before, you looked back at him. Could you do me a favor? Nothing bad. Sorry, I should have. Let me start over. I love this man. Love him. He cleared his throat and stood up straighter. From where you were standing, it just made him look creepier. I have a son. His name is Cove, who's about your age. Cove. I'm so happy. Okay, Cove, that seemed like a strange name for an actual living person to you. You chewed on the inside of your cheek. This guy was definitely obsessed with the water. You thought that was pretty cool. I do think that's pretty cool. You never met anyone with that name. We moved across the street, see? He gestured towards the house that had been empty for a year, his watch catching the late afternoon sunlight and reflecting off the walls. The gigantic for sale sign was finally gone. You must be Lynk Plays Games, right? I met your moms earlier. They told me you were 8 just like him, so... He shook the $20 bill, bringing it back to your attention, a hopeful smile tilting his lips at the corner. Can you try to be friends with the boy? Just give it a chance and you can keep this. He's a good kid. You'll like him. But you gotta keep it a secret too, okay? It wouldn't be friendly to say his dad sent you. Aw. I don't know, that's still kind of sketchy. Like, hey, can you help me find my son? Like, that's just, all he needs is the white van, you know? He's so sketchy at first, but I love Cliff. What could be so bad about this Cove kid that his dad would need to bribe strangers to be friends with him? What do you say, want to make a deal? I'm just gonna run away. You spun around and made a break for it. Nah, I'm just gonna run. Just gonna run. I don't feel like yelling stranger danger at Cove's dad. You turned on the spot and bolted down the street, ignoring his calls from behind you. Come back, sorry if I scared you. I don't know how else to ask. The soles of your shoes slapped against the concrete sidewalk as you ran, heat from the sun warm on your face. Oh. Step 1, first sight. Okay. Eventually, his shouting faded into the distance. You let yourself slow down and try to catch your breath, wiping the sweat from your forehead with the back of your hand. The chirping of crickets and tall dry grass echoed around you. You lifted your head and surveyed your surroundings. You'd run right into the hills behind your house's backyard. From here, you could probably get back inside without seeing the guy again. There was a loose plank on the back fence, too small to fit through, but you could try waving to Lizzie for help. So chaotic. Sorry, guys. Fence was pretty high, but if you stood on the neighbor's shorter fence post first, you might be able to pull yourself over. You'd be able to hide here until he left and go through the front door. Let's do that. You could peek around the corner, make sure he was gone before making a break for it. You took in a deep breath. You wanted to try to relax and couldn't. You weren't sure what, but something told you you weren't alone, so you glanced around. There was a boy sitting at the top of one hill, almost completely hidden within the long grass and white flowers surrounding him. His head was buried in his knees, staring ahead by himself. For whatever reason, probably just that he wasn't paying attention, he hadn't noticed you yet. You watched him a minute longer, feeling a bit like you'd found a deer in the wild. Though deer didn't have green hair, wavy eyebrows, huge glasses, sad frowns. Oh, I gotta admit, the first thing you notice about Cove is his hair. You watched as it fluttered softly around his face in the breeze. After a few more seconds, you took a step forward, then another. And then he glanced your way. I'm hoping you guys aren't hearing the hissing of my laptop, so let me just kind of try to slide this, keep that away. Sorry. His aquamarine eyes reflected the light of the moon. You stopped, raising a hand to acknowledge him and show you weren't scary. Are you lost? With a start, he jumped to his feet, his hands balling into fists at his sides. He didn't say anything, just stared at you in a strange way. He had been crying. There were traces of tears on his cheek and his knees, soaking the hem of his shorts. His eyes were still shining with a few more. You obviously caught him off guard. He was your age, but he didn't look familiar. Maybe he was that boy the weird new neighbor had been talking about before you ran. The only way to actually know was to ask. Who are you? I've never seen you. He sniffled a little, rubbing at his ruddy cheeks before he answered. My name's Cove. You could see him hesitate, shifting his eyes to the side, then back to you again. My dad and me, we moved here. Your guess was confirmed. So, is this your hill? He gestured with his uninjured arm to the patch of grass surrounding you, his face falling at the prospect. I can leave if it is. Can't own a hill. Like I said before, you can't own a hill. Why not? How could you? You just do. I had a hill back home. Well, still, this isn't mine. Oh. He sat back down with a thump, resting his chin on his knees again. Curious, the strange new boy with the odd dad, you sat on the patch of grass next to him. The pure white flowers that covered the hill rocked back and forth gently as the stars twinkled above. The way they dotted the sky made them seem like flowers too. The night wind was cool as it traveled over the ocean and up the hill, chasing away the heat from the afternoon sun. Why are you here? A quiet hiccup escaped Cove as you asked the question. Almost like they never stopped, his tears started up again with a vengeance. My parents. They don't want to live together anymore. Or live together with me anymore. I don't remember the conversations being like this. Is this because we ran away from Cove's dad? The tears fell fast and heavy over his flushed cheeks, sticking in his dark lashes. My mom made my dad leave, and he took me with him, and now we have a house here, and I want to go home. The outburst took you off guard. By the time he was done wailing, Cove's chest was heaving with exhaustion. He sniffled and removed his glasses, wiping at his eyes with the back of his hand before he put them back on again. I hate this place. I want my real life back. I want my mom. Oh. I'm sorry. You'll like it here. You'll just have to get used to it. Stop crying. I'm sorry. You're just so sweet and precious. He slipped his hands underneath his glasses and pressed his fingers against his eyelids. Cove wound himself up again for another long crying fit. You felt bad for him being forced to come here with no choice. You couldn't imagine what it would feel like to live with only one of your moms, but it must be pretty hard. But from way off in the distance, you heard your parents. Kids, where did you go? Cove looked at you, tears still clinging to his cheeks. Don't tell him we're here. I don't want to go back to that house. I want to go home. It will be okay. I have an itch. You were struck by a sudden need to reassure Cove. It's not gonna all be fun, but isn't he your family too? Yeah, I guess. Then you can count on him when you really, really need him. You shot him a grin and pushed yourself to your feet. Slowly, Cove stood up with you, looking a little reluctant. His dad's voice rang out again. Cove, can you hear me? He looked towards the sound of his dad's voice, silent, then turned away while rubbing his not bandaged arm. I still don't want to go. Try to convince him. Are you sure? You'd have to stay outside the whole night and sleep on wet grass. Before Cove could say anything else, you heard his dad's voice again, even closer than before. There you are, bud. The trio of parents appeared over the curve of the hill. Instantly, all their eyes landed on you and they rushed over. Both of your moms were at your side in a split second, faces filled with worry. You're here after all. We had been at the park to check for Cove, and then I heard what happened earlier when you met the new neighbor. I thought you might have gone off further away. We're okay, don't worry. Thank God you're both fine. Were you two having fun out here? You looked at Cove, who was wiggling against his dad's tight hug, pushing at his arms. He's new here. It was okay. Finally letting go of his squirming, scowling son, Cove's dad turned to the three of you. Thank you very much for finding him. I really don't know this neighborhood. Good thing Lynk knows the whole area so well. Absolutely, we should be getting home now. It's been a long day for all of us. Say goodbye, Cove. Oh. The two of them walked off into the darkness, heading towards the neighborhood. You watched Cove's bright pink cast until it disappeared. My mom would have beat the brakes off of me if I had, ran away and she couldn't find me anywhere. As a kid, if there was stranger danger, you ran to her, or you ran to your sibling, or whatever. You didn't just run off. Tell you what, we'll have a proper play date tomorrow, okay? Your new friend's dad wanted to bring him by to see you and Lizzie. How does that sound? Sounds like words. That is such a me answer right now. But yeah. As a kid, I would be like, oh, I want to show him all my stuff. Then okay. Both of your moms laughed at the sound of overlapping into a warm, familiar chorus. Mommy put her arms around your shoulder and led you towards the path. Satisfied with more than a little ready to go to bed after a long, exciting day, you followed them home. Alright, choose your feelings for Cove. This is how you feel towards Cove, and this step can change later. We are very relaxed with Cove, and we are very fond of Cove, and we are ready to go. Yep. Okay, I'm actually gonna stop and save this here. I hope I wasn't yelling, because my parents might strangle me if I've been recording and yelling. But thank you guys so much for watching, and welcome back to the Our Life series. And if you're new to this series, don't worry, we technically restarted. But I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.